In Natural Born Killers, I think it's my anarchic, damn the torpedoes kind of all-out attitude. Like, we're not going to live with this hypocrisy. We're just going to blow it out at the end of a shotgun. The moment he walked in the room, his eyes are dancing. He has that kind of weird grin.
I had to ask him, why would you think of me? I mean, all I've done that you would have seen would be, at that point, I guess, was White Men Can't Jump and Cheers. And he says, I see violence in you.
I love Woody, but he's a little sick. He's a little crazy. And I think that's what you need for Mickey.
I've had a lot of violence in my life, but how could he, I just couldn't understand how he could see that.
His father was imprisoned for murder as a hitman. There's a reason for Woody to have those genes. He comes from that world, and I felt it when the moment I saw him. With Juliette, I felt something was weird. Something was off kilter.
I look at acting as creating and playing. How children play, how they make up things, and they'll play cowboys and pretend to beat each other up.
Nothing could be approached in the conventional way as an actress. I don't think that she liked rehearsing very much. I don't think she likes the standard approach to film acting. I think that she lives off her instincts. She's like a snake, a coiled snake. Tom is one of the funnier people that I've met. He's also a strange creature. I mean, I had a bunch of characters in this movie.
So he said, a movie's like a table, Sizemore's like a table, I'm making a 5-legged table here, and I got 4 legs I know are good. I can't have a wobbly leg. Are you gonna be a wobbly leg? I said, because Juliette was the leg, I guess. Woody was a leg, Tommy Lee and Robert. I would be the 5th leg. I said, no, man, I won't fuck your table up.
Some of those rehearsals, some of those sets were pretty wild. It was a free rocking show.
It was insane. He played, when I got to the set, he played music in between takes. This wild music, African music, all this original music, and he played it loud.
This was a nuts shoot. Every potential affront to sanity and integrity was committed. I remembered fondly.
I was the sanest of the whole group. That's never happened before in the history of my life.
It's pagan Rome, 26 AD. He's pushing you over onto the script lady and,
Oliver creates a siege mentality. We drink together, we go out together, we eat together, we go to work together, we make this movie together. We're in this together. And he's the leader.
He's someone who keeps the energy up on the set by hammering everybody. We don't have time, we don't have time, we don't have time. Go, 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 go. And keeping everybody like this. And it really comes out on the screen.
We worked at a breakneck speed. We shot the whole movie in, I think, 56 days.
Other directors could appreciate how much was done in such a short amount of time.
I don't think a lot of us slept during that movie. It was sort of a surreal experience. Let's just lighten up and go for a summer action movie. That was my initial impulse. This Tarantino script is great. We'll play with this genre. We'll have fun. We'll do something Arnold Schwarzenegger will be proud of. And then as it developed, it just got deeper and heavier. I don't know what it was.
Oliver says, I want to do a location scout. We set off to go cross country, and it was wild. A lot of the movie was actually created in that trip. We were actually followed while we were eating mushrooms down the highway in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, by this Navajo cop, and Oliver got really paranoid. And he goes, "You're driving too slow," to the driver, and the driver goes, "I'm driving the speed limit." And Oliver goes, "That's why he's suspicious." So he takes his foot and he jumps it over the median hump and he hits the guy's foot and it hits the accelerator and the car goes swerving off the road. And I'm in the panic and we're laughing so hard because we're all eating mushrooms and nobody can control ourselves.
These two kids are desensitized at the beginning of the movie, totally to their environment, by their parents, by their upbringing, and above all, by television.
They grew up with like some craziness in their family. There was that kind of stuff. There was Hogan's Heroes and all those weird. There was laugh tracks and incest in the background of people's lives, so I just think it freaks people out, and they don't know what to do, and they get anger covers fear, and
the media are very important, especially television and the tabloids are important in the world in which this movie takes place, and that's really scale of importance or magnitude in these people's minds. The more famous you are, the more important you are.
The demon, of course, starts out as aggression. Mickey describes it as aggression. But it becomes the media in the movie. I think we are a culture going to hell. We've been captured by the media. The media has distorted our value system and distorted the argument itself.
For as long as you have a society to which killers are equated to the same status as movie stars or television stars or anything else, you're headed down a nightmarish alley.
Critics misunderstood it. They thought it was over the top. Well, that wasn't the point. Of course it was over the top. You know, you could argue about the degree of where satire lies.
We were really thinking about Molière all the way through this, and the bourgeois gendarme, very pretentious guy, and formally structured satire.
Tommy Lee Jones I gave him free rein to play what he'd never played before, which is out-and-out redneck.
Mistakenly elegant person would probably wear a pencil-thin toothbrush mustache to start with, and a ducktail, maybe, haircut with Carl Perkins sideburns. And she said, what do you want the ducktail to look like? I said, 57 Studebaker.
We want to get beyond the normal and the ordinary. We want to push out into the extraordinary.
We used, I think, 18 different formats for this film. We used 35 millimeter film, 16 millimeter film, 8 millimeter film, videotape, Super 8 tape.
The cuts are very fast. There's 2,500, 3,000 cuts in this movie.
It's been described as the biggest experimental film, the biggest student film ever made. And it's because we could put all of these resources to just, experimenting.
We started talking about doing these background plates. Oliver initially wanted to do, regular plates, and, we said, like, well, what about psychological plates? And so if you want to see a landscape, why don't we see a psychological landscape? And he said, well, show me.
Those rear projections are so complicated. We had to cut those in advance of the movie and we put them on the stage at the same time as the live actors were doing their live actions. And we were trying to keep them in sync. Very complicated. I had wonderful editors, and a wonderful DP and production. I mean, they really worked with me to let go, and they made it possible.
He said at one point to all of us, go to the deepest place you have. Go as far out as you want. Give me the ideas and let's see what we can play with here. Let's talk about them. So this is your chance to be as extreme as you want to be.
Once they kill, they've entered into this world of breaking all the rules. It's fitting that a filmmaker is also breaking the rules with them. Yeah, I asked him to do a point of view running near the door. So Phil Pfeiffer, our second unit cameraman, did it first and hurt himself. But then Bob, reluctantly, he was pissed at me, he did it. And I kept urging him on because sometimes I play that role of being a provocateur who pushes people to do better work. And unfortunately, Bob did hurt himself on one of the takes. I had two cameramen that were down. It was very funny. That was persona non grata that day on the set.
And I go, rise and shine, Mallory. And I stood there for a second, and I went, rise and shine. And I walked away. And I heard Oliver go, what the fuck are you doing? Don't cut, you don't cut. And he came kind of running around the corner. He was kind of coming at me, manic and crazed. He's got that bandana wiping the sweat off his face. He can be very imposing. I said, she's asleep. He went, what? She's supposed to be asleep. And I said, no, she's asleep, but she's asleep. And we walked around to there and he looked at me and went, oh, fuck, she's asleep. We broke for a while as he woke her up. She went to her trailer. They woke her up. And we did the scene. And at some point in the day, she had to push my head across. We kind of worked it out.
So you can kick them in the shin, do that thing. Things that really hurt, stomp on their foot. And then, bash him in the face.
She smashed my head into the wall. I said, no, she really broke my fucking nose. My nose is broke. Oliver's looking at it, and he's going, what do you think? And Chris said, oh, probably could use a stitch. And I could see on Oliver's face, he was like, no way, you can't go get this. We got to do this. She's awake. We got her awake. You got to go on, man. There's no fucking stitches now. Unless you're dying, your arm's off. We got to keep shooting. And I like that mentality.
Scene with the hostage, I'm glad he cut some of it out because it went a little more extreme. I don't know if he restored any of that in the director's cut. Oh, he did. That was pretty intense shooting there at the prison. You know, coming in every day and having all these voices out there, you know, with disembodied voices shouting, "You fucking skinhead!"
They're, you know, yelling at Juliette, and a lot of guys liked Robert. A lot of the inmates. It was like a toss-up between Juliette and Robert as to who was the most sexually interesting to them.
I'd say stuff back to him, but it was also, you know, we were inside the prison. It's like somebody could come up and throw a knife into you. You wouldn't even, you know, we were always in contact with prisoners.
There's one scene where we're going through the bowels with Owen. And I suddenly realized, what's this dripping down is from the sewage pipes. That means we are walking through criminal shit. We're like 78% of these guys are HIV positive. And the others, you know, it's their shit.
It was pretty wild in there. But, you know, kind of in keeping with the spirit of the movie.
The roundhouse, the place that we shot, to get in there, you're doing 2 life sentences. So to stage a riot with 450 guys who are in there doing, you know, 2 life terms, they haven't got a lot to lose. And so it still amazes me to this day that they let us in there.
It was really intense shooting that riot. I mean, there's fires all over the place and people running this way and that, gunfire, you know, and maybe it's make-believe in a way, but it certainly had a very real aspect to it. I'm not saying I'm like a method actor or anything, and you know, it's just that I don't know where the make-believe leaves off and reality begins sometimes.
What bothered the MPAA was the chaos of the movie. It was no single shot that they could put their finger on. There was no, you know, take that out of this. It was always a vague, ill-defined unease that they had about the energy of the film.
Chaos is a character is the star of the show.
Every review, every notice would say, violence. You know, whatever, it was good or bad, it didn't matter. It was always violence, violence. As if it's an, you know, yeah, okay, that's primary. Let's move on. What's the secondary thing going on here? And the tertiary thing? There are other levels beyond just being a violent movie. There is a deconstructivist strain that comes in all the time. It's this, you're aware of watching a movie. The techniques enforce that or reinforce that. So you're constantly aware of the shifting points of view.
Nobody ever thought about Guernica being too violent to view. Well, it's about war, and we could intellectualize that painting or revere it or put it up on a pedestal or... But most people seem to stand in front of it and think about war and how ugly it is. And just kind of feel grateful to stand in front of a thing of beauty that brings that feeling, that knowledge to us. I would recommend the same point of view on this film. You don't have to be a very sophisticated person to know that this is not an exploitation film. This is an art film.
There's those people who've seen it quite a number of times who come up to you and say, "I'm Mickey," which are the people I try to avoid.
That's the ultimate purpose of the movie, to make people think about the violence that's around them, about the whole crimescape that has invaded the American life, and about the media's coverage of it. The media has built it up into a circus. A lot of younger 90s filmmakers, I'm a little surprised that they think violence is cool and hip. And they play it that way, which is fine for a couple of, you can make a couple of films like that, but I can't see that making a career out of it. Morally, it's a repugnant point of view to me because I've been in Vietnam, I've seen the effect of guns, and it's pretty terrifying.
It asks the audience to be sophisticated. It does not insult the audience by offering mere prurient violence. Many films do, and they make a lot of money.
There's no question that movies, by the standards of real violence, are a pale approximation, almost a joke. So I think a lot of the younger filmmakers, because they can't get the realism, just go the other way, and they dismiss the consequences of violence. You know, you kill somebody, it's fun, it's hip, it's cool. I could never take part in that personally because of my own experience in life. And there is a genetic component of aggression, you know, in everybody, and I think it can be activated and enhanced by environment.
I think most people can make that claim, that they've been angry enough in their life they would have killed somebody. So where's the line? Where's the line between you and Mickey or you and Mallory? I mean, where is it? It's a very thin line, I think.
He's educated himself off camera in jail. The idea was that he becomes more like Charlie Manson. I happen to agree with a lot of it, but that doesn't mean that it's my voice. We based a lot of that interview on Manson's interview with Geraldo Rivera, which is a hilarious interview.
Geraldo really thought he was getting this role, and ultimately probably didn't appreciate the satire.
Actually, what Manson says is brilliant and probably morally correct, because Manson is a victim of aggression, and he had a horrible life. And he understands himself so much better than Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo has no consciousness at all. I was very lucky to get Bob Downey because he's such a consummate actor. He's nobody. He's spineless. Totally spineless jellyfish, which I love. Character, that kind of character.
It's better that way, then you're not blocking Woody. There, that's a bit of a block. That's good. And then going. Good.
He has the ability with me, certain actors, I bet are different, but with me, he makes you really want to do it for him.
You know, I was down for anything, particularly for him. Literally would like chew glass, you know, in a master, you know, in the background, if that's what would work for him.
He understands the dramatic process very well. You never lack for rehearsal time. You're never unprepared. The script is always there. That's unusual, and it's a great source of security for actors.
He wanted me to contribute my ideas to this part and to the scenes, and that's very encouraging, and it gives me a lot of freedom.
You would think he's such a tyrant, he's not gonna, you know, shut up and do what I tell you. He's not like that at all.
Humility is one of Oliver's more impressive qualities, one that's not appreciated ordinarily by the press.
He creates it, and then you either got to be in it or you should go home. Because if you're not going to go for the ride, you know, don't buy a ticket.
I touch wounds. I touch nerves. I don't know what it is.
There's a lot of fairly sensible people who critique the movie without having seen it, and I think, you know, you owe it to yourself to see something before you critique it.
Whoever this Grisham guy is, you know, he's clearly like at war with himself and looking for a scapegoat.
Those who say that a work of art is an invitation to, you know, violent antisocial behavior are not very bright.
I don't think anybody watches a 2-hour movie and decides they're going to become a serial killer.
Natural Born Killers comes from a very emotional moment in time. Those 2 years that I really felt disgusted. Everything was coming up. I just felt sick. Disillusioned, and I just expressed it as a kid would by throwing paint on a canvas, and I let it go. I didn't censor myself at all. I wanted to work with Dennis Leary. I saw him on TV, and I thought it would be part of the channel surfing just to cut away to him. He's a madman, another madman loose in society, rapping at the TV screen like one of those angry protesters. And he did a very funny rap, I thought. But again, it went on for about 1.5 minutes, and it just changed the rhythm a bit in that area in the middle where before the breakout and the revolt starts. I enjoyed the scene very much, but it slows the movie down. When we were shooting the movie, we had written a lot of music into the scripts, and listened to a lot of modern music. And above all, I wanted to capture one American flavor, which I'd heard recently was the Nine Inch Nails music. And I thought, let's take a shot. So we asked them to come and see the movie. They did in various stages. Trent Reznor came back again and again and again. He was absolutely riveted by the movie. And in fact, he brought Dr. Dre in, and Dr. Dre brought Snoop Dogg in. So there was all this kind of like procession of people that were going through and really digging the music. And Interscope Records, Jimmy Iovine, wanted his house to back it. Trent got deeply involved and ended up producing the album. And he was, I think he was so influenced by the movie that he himself created and filmed a lot of his own music video. The other ending we shot has Arliss Howard as sort of a guardian angel figure. He appears in the first scene, actually, in black and white in the diner. If you look closely, he's in and out, and he mysteriously vanishes from the diner, and he's not killed. He ends up in the jail. You see him once or twice during the movie in the background. And then he comes at the end as a guardian angel and guides them out of the prison. They hit the road, they escape, and in this scene, all of a sudden, the random forces that Mickey and Mallory kicked off with the way they killed people, come back to haunt them. There was something, I guess, karmic about it. The idea was that in the 90s, you know, they get away with it. People do. And that, of course, aggravated a lot of people who want to see Mickey and Mallory get their just desserts. However, the police don't do it. It would be a psycho. It would be somebody of their own ilk, like Owen. So it's an interesting dilemma, but I do feel that Mickey and Mallory have gone through quite a few changes now in the movie, and that they are really moved on the road. They're anti-heroes in the sense that they do go underground now. They fought the media. They destroyed the media. They sound like they're going to go straight right now. On the other hand, you never know. They might come back for more. So keep watching for Natural Born Killers 2.